The hum of the SOC dies, the cursor stops, then nothing. A $1 trillion crime scene. Too quiet. Too clean. I don't solve breaches. I dissect them. 2 cases on the slab. First, a click at 112. A session token walks out the door. A login from a country the user's never seen. And a block lands milliseconds before the takeover. Second, no password stolen. No door forced. The victim waves a forged badge and lets the suspect in. One mistake let them inside. We'll name it before the verdict. Stay with me. The logs will talk. They always do. Scale of the crime, the operating reality. A cold splash to wake the room. 112, a user taps a fish. 113, inbox rules bloom like mold. 115, the mailbox bends to a stranger. Yeah, that fast. Here's the asymmetry. They hunt in packs, write once, run forever. We patch by hand and pray the alerts make sense. They've got time, scripts, and a market that pays in bulk. We've got drift, debt, and dashboards that look busy when they're blind. Everyone romanticizes break-ins. That's not how this goes. They don't break in, they log in. Tokens over passwords, consent over cracking, living off the land like they pay rent. A mailbox rule here, a share there. No alarms, no glass, just a clean entry and a quiet exit. You want motive, money. You want means, automation. You want opportunity. Our posture gone rotten. Baselines drift. Exceptions pile up. Legacy OAuth lurks in a forgotten corner, still handing out keys. Without a face check, shadow SaaS blooms in the dark. Unvetted apps with greedy scopes, and the SOC, alert fatigue, turns a siren into a lullaby. The suspect walks past, hat low, badge up. No remorse, listen close. Technology won't save you, discipline will. We don't need a new screen. We need an investigation habit that doesn't blink. So we draw 3 guardrails in paint that doesn't dry. Zero trust. Every request is a suspect. Identity, device, session. Show your papers. If the travel is impossible, stop the feed mid-flight. If the OAuth isn't strong, close the door. Shared responsibility. The cloud is their house. Your data is your family. Azure keeps the lights on. You decide who gets a key. Consent controls, device compliance, a short leash on third-party mouths that want to eat your mail. Defense in depth, many doors, many locks. When a token slips, the blast radius meets a wall. Browser only for strangers. App-enforced restrictions. Labels that turn stolen files into blank pages. Circuit breakers, not comfort blankets. Behavior is the tell. Survivors pick consistency over clever. No quiet carve-outs for the urgent exec. No just this once for the road warrior. They know the rule that matters. Break a guardrail and gravity wins. Remember this number, 112, because everything that matters starts there. The click isn't the crime, it's the opening narration. After that, identity takes the first hit and writes the first statement. We'll walk the tape. We'll ask one question over and over. What did the identity know? And when did it know it? Now the body's warm. Time to lift the sheet. Foundational motives. The doctrines that decide outcomes. Every case has a philosophy behind it. Ours has 3. Guardrails, not slides. Zero trust first. Paranoid. Never wrong. Every request is a suspect. Identity shows a face. Device shows a badge. Session shows its story. No face, no entry. And when the story bends, impossible travel, jittery IPs, a token that smells reused, the door locks mid-swing. That's the move that stops the fall. You don't negotiate with physics. You interrupt it. Case relevance, you'll hear it soon. Toronto at 2:02, Moscow at 2:14. Zero trust hears the footstep that shouldn't exist. Conditional access throws the bolt. OAuth strength raises the bar. Legacy OAuth, gone. Second guardrail, shared responsibility. The contract no one reads until the fire. Azure keeps the building standing. You decide who carries the keys. You police your guests, your contractors, your apps, Shadow SaaS. That's the side door with the hinge pulled, consent screens with greedy scopes, an app that wants mail read-write to sync your calendar. Cute, until your tenant turns into a buffet. So you force an approver into the room. Admin consent workflow. Consent policies that fence the scopes. Defender for cloud apps watching the hallway cams after you sign the ledger. Third guardrail, defense in depth, because one lock fails. They always fail. What matters is the next lock. And the one after that. Token slips, blast radius meets a wall. Browser only for the unknown, app enforced restrictions so files open like exhibits, not loot. Labels that wrap content in steel. Steal the file, enjoy the safe. You want case ties? You'll get them. When the inbox rule blooms, it won't bloom far. When the token replays, the replay hits tempered glass. When the device twitches, Defender isolates. When the queries spike, Sentinel stitches the chain. Depth buys time. Time buys containment. Now, behavior. The part no tool can fake. Survivors don't improvise. They rehearse. They set baselines. They keep them tight. They don't write exceptions for urgent execs or roadshow heroes. They know just this once is the preamble to we never saw it coming. So here's the rule I work by. Every doctrine is a guardrail. Break one and the attacker doesn't need brilliance. They need gravity. Listen for the question again. What did the identity know? When did it know it? Because doctrine isn't theory here. It's a clock you can hear. Zero trust is the tick. Shared responsibility is the talk. Defense in depth is the spring that keeps them honest. And when a token walks, when an app waves a forged badge, when a sign-in lands from a sky the user never flew, these guardrails decide outcomes. Not the logo in the corner, not the heat map. Guardrails. Now lift your eyes to the corridor ahead. Identity lies there. Not dead, just quiet. Logs still warm. We'll read them like last words. And if the doctrine holds, the body talks. If it doesn't, the fall already happened. We move, lights low, notebook open, tick, tock. Identity, the first victim, the first detective. Identity lies in the corridor, not dead, just quiet. Logs still warm. I crouch beside it and ask the only question that matters. What did the identity know? And when did it know it? A soft timestamp beep answers me. 0202, 0214, 0215, heartbeat under the sheet. Entra ID plays back the pulse. Sign in risk first. A familiar name from an unfamiliar sky. Toronto at lunch. Moscow before the coffee cools. High risk stamped in red ink the user never sees. User risk follows. Credentials showing up where they don't live, paste sites, trade boards, signals that smell like a wallet left open. Again. Device posture steps forward like a nurse with a chart. Compliance, encryption, patch level. If the answers stutter, the bouncer hears it. Conditional access waits at the door. It doesn't smile. Geo says no. Device says prove it. Client app says browser only. OAuth strength asks for a key that can't be copied. No face, no entry. Identity protection does the profiling work no human has time to do. Impossible travel plots that jump on a cold map. Token anomalies glint like a reused shell casing. Risky sessions move against the grain of the user's normal day. Another timestamp chirps. 0212. Attempted sign-in from an IP that tries too hard to be ordinary. 2 failed prompts, 1 replayed token, same claims, different device. Yeah, they didn't break in. They tried to log in with a face they stole. Kill switch is live under glass for a reason. High user risk block, that's the breaker. No more grace. Legacy auth deny. That's the padlock on the old door everyone meant to seal. Device code flow block. That trick where a screen says, type this code over there? Not tonight. I hear the pushback already. Contractors. BYOD. Real life. So we draw a thin line and make it steel. Browser only on unmanaged. App enforced restrictions in the session. You can view, you can edit, you can't download, print, or sync. No local copy for a thief to love later. The hum of the SOC is still low. Too low. The analyst on night shift never saw the rule bloom. No one would. Not with alert fatigue humming like white noise. So I keep asking, what did the identity know? When did it know it? Entra answers with another line of truth. Attempted login at 0214. Origin, Moscow, user location, Toronto, risk level, high, MFA challenge, failed. A log line appears. A timestamp beeps. I don't need graphics. I need that sound. Patents tighten. Conditional access rejects the hop mid-air. Auth strength shifts from some to phish resistant. No hardware key. No passage. Legacy protocols knock once and hear nothing back. Identity rolls over and points toward the door we haven't opened yet. The mailbox, the rule, the quiet cut. I catalog the telltales before we move. Sign-in risk spikes when geography lies. User risk spikes when secrets leak in places they don't belong. Device posture saves you when a token tries to impersonate a device it's never met. Kill switches stop the harm while you think. Discipline isn't a slide, it's a reflex. One more timestamp, 2:17. It lingers like a last breath. Identity isn't the suspect here. It's the witness. We lift it carefully, we thank it for the story, and we follow its finger to the tape, where the click lives, where the rule blooms, where the token walks out under a borrowed face. The body's quiet now, the corridor isn't. We move. The reenactment, phish, token theft, impossible travel, 112, subject line, urgent, verify your account, sender spoofed, domain off by a letter, link dressed in corporate blue, the click, a page that looks right but breathes wrong, TLS is valid, the form is neat, credentials typed, MFA completed, session born, no alarms, no glass. A cookie drops. The token leaves with the referrer like a pickpocket slipping out the side door. Quiet, clean, a ticking bomb. Bill 13. Inbox rules bloom. Move messages from CEO to RSS feeds. A neat hide. Forward anything with wire. Invoice urgent. The user never sees the bait go missing. The attacker reads without being seen. Was it password spray? No. MFA fatigue? Not this time. The password worked once. The token works again. And again. 114. A second machine wakes in another sky. The token gets replayed. Same user, same claims, different device, different continent. I hear the timestamp beep. 0214. Attempted login. Origin, Moscow. User location, Toronto. Risk, high. MFA, challenge, failed. Entra doesn't like ghosts that travel faster than physics. Conditional access raises the bar mid-air. Impossible travel checked. Session claims examined. Auth strength tightened. No hardware key denied. They try again. Another IP tries too hard to look boring. Autonomous, scripted, no remorse. Defender sees the mailbox twitch. 0812. Suspicious inbox rule created. 0814. Token replay identified. 0815. Endpoint isolated by automated response. 0816. Malicious process blocked. I start a countdown in my head. 90 seconds to cut access. 30 to isolate. 10 to revoke. The first cut. Revoke sessions. Invalidate the token family. close every borrowed face at once, break the attacker's oxygen line. The second cut, kill the rule, purge the mailbox filter, restore visibility to the victim's eyes. The third cut, reset credentials with phish-resistant enrollment. Temporary access pass to bridge the MFA gap. FIDO key to close it. Sentinel stitches the chain. KQL stays off the tape. The story doesn't. 3 high-risk sign-ins. 5 failed MFA prompts. Token replay across geos. Unusual mailbox rule creation. 1 incident. Too clean to be random. The attacker pivots. SharePoint pings. Download attempts whisper against policy. App-enforced restrictions turn looting into viewing. Files open like exhibits, not loot. Information protection wraps the content. Labels hold. Encryption stays married to identity. Steal the file. Enjoy the safe. Compliance steps in with the evidence bag. A folder opens. E-discovery bags the window. Accessed 42 sensitive files between 0210 and 0218. Then a smudge. A metadata fingerprint. Joe217. A timestamp mismatch on one file. Touched without a matching sign-in. Token. Replay heat. They didn't have the password then. They had a session. I checked the body language of the logs. User risk rises where it shouldn't. Sign-in risk spikes on a route no plane can fly. Device posture refuses to lie for a stranger. We press the emergency glass. High user risk block engages. Legacy auth deny keeps the old door welded. Device code flow block shuts the type this code over there. Hustle. The room gets louder. The SOC hum climbs from flatline to a steady rhythm. Analysts read the same clock. Tick, Entra, talk, defender, tick, Sentinel, talk, compliance. Security Copilot takes the stand. No magic, just time saved. Summary: phishing led to token theft. Token replay from foreign IP. Inbox rule created to conceal executive mail. Conditional access blocked impossible travel. Sessions revoked, endpoint isolated, no confirmed exfiltration. Protected data remained unreadable. We replay the beats to be sure. The click. The token walks. The foreign hop. The bouncer slams the door. The rule gets erased. The session family dies. The files stay locked. The tenant breathes. Could they have slipped farther? Only if the guardrails were soft, if legacy auth stayed open, if browser only wasn't enforced, if labels were just stickers, if just this once lived in policy. The mistake? It wasn't the click. Clicks happen. It was the gap where tokens outran trust, where auth strength couldn't be raised on the fly, where device trust wasn't demanded for sensitive work. We close that gap with posture, not posters. Raise authentication strength by context. Require compliant devices for finance, legal, HR. Attach authentication context to what matters. Force the second door every time. The attacker fades when the oxygen fades. Attempts keep coming from the cold. Denied on sight. No face, no entry. The hum settles, not quiet, alive. We bag the evidence. We keep the fingerprints. We learn the rhythm. And then I ask the question one more time. What did the identity know? And when did it know it? Identity points past the token, past the rule to a different trick. No broken lock. No replay. A badge waved at the door, and the door smiling back. We turn to the next case. The consent that felt like convenience. The forged badge that looked like trust. The kind of break-in where no glass breaks. Yeah, that one. The twist. OAuth consent grant attack. The attacker didn't break in. The victim opened the door. A polite email. Connect this app to sync your calendar. Corporate colors, a tidy logo. The link lands clean. Consent screen. This app would like to read your mail, access your files, maintain access. The scopes are greedy. The badge looks official. The user clicks accept. No password stolen, no glass, just a brokered trust. OAuth hands a token to an app the tenant never met. Legit keys, illegitimate hands. The door smiles back. I hear the soft consent chime in my head. That's the tell I've learned to hate. The logs don't shout, they nod. New enterprise app added. Publisher unfamiliar. Permissions too tall for the job. Why does a calendar tool want mail? Read-write, files, read, all, offline access. The forged badge waves. Security looks from across the lobby. Too far. Too late. This isn't intrusion. It's delegation. The tenant says, "You can act as me." Defender sees authorized access. Entra signs the pass. Sentinel reads movement, not motive. And the app moves like it belongs. Evidence rolls in quiet waves. Throttled graph calls. Mail search patterns that skim, not dive. List drives. Enumerate sites. Sample, sample, sample. Never enough to trip crude thresholds. Just enough to pocket a few secrets and walk away. We test the hinges. Admin consent workflow, put an approver in the room. No loan clicks with corporate keys. Consent policies, fence the scopes. Ban unknown publishers from asking for God's wallet. And after the signature, watch the halls. Defender for cloud apps tracks the gate. New app pulling mail across departments. Query rate unusual for stated purpose. The hallway cams don't sleep. I replay the scene for the tape. The pitch, the click, the badge, the pass, the quiet harvest. No MFA prompt to fight. No device posture to fail. Because the trust is real, just misplaced. We pull the levers that matter. Revoke the app's grants. Disable user consent for risky scopes. Require admin review for anything that touches mail, files, directory. Set consent filters. Block multi-tenant, unverified publishers. Publish an allow list. Everyone else waits in the lobby. I leave one line on the wall. Trust the app, lose the tenant. And another for the ones who still want convenience. Convenience is a suspect that smiles. The hum of the SOC deepens. Not panic, resolve. The crew knows the trick now. The next forged badge hits a locked turnstile. We log the case. Then we move to the locker where truth doesn't rust. Compliance, the evidence locker. Without compliance telemetry, the reenactment is gossip. With it, it's testimony. A drawer slides. A folder opens. Quiet, but final. Inside a risk lights a narrow beam first. Unusual access patterns spike in the breach window. A user who reads 5 files an hour reads 200 in 15 minutes. That's not work. That's a sweep. Information protection answers with steel. Labels aren't stickers. They're locks married to identity. The stolen files open as blanks outside policy. The attacker lifts a safe, not the contents. No remorse there, but no payoff either. Discovery bags the timeline. Who touched what, when, from where. Chain of custody stamped, not guessed. We export the slice, 0210 to 0218, and the numbers don't lie. 42 sensitive files accessed, 1 timestamp out of cadence, 0217, matching the token replay we already pinned. The fingerprint in metadata that ties motive to method. Records management stands behind the glass with a ledger that doesn't forget. Immutable retention, audit trails that testify. No, we think. Only here it is, a story that holds up under lights. I narrate the case to the room, low and slow. Evidence shows access attempt via token replay. Evidence shows mailbox rule creation. Evidence shows post-consent app behavior inconsistent with declared purpose. Labels blocked exfiltration. Sessions revoked. App grants removed. No data rendered readable outside policy. No drama, just gravity. This is why we drill before the breach. Preserve first, analyze second, narrate last, because if you mix the order, you smear the prints. The locker closes with a soft click. The lesson isn't the tools, it's the habit. Compliance isn't paperwork. It's the chain that turns logs into proof and proof into a verdict. The room breathes. We've got a clean timeline. The next move isn't panic, it's training. The boot camp reveal, training digital detectives. Unprepared defenders lose. Trained investigators win. We don't teach tools, we teach process. Zero trust in motion. Identity timelines you can read by ear. Conditional access baselines that hold under pressure. Defender and Sentinel as frameworks, not wallpaper. Compliance as chain of custody, not paperwork. You'll work a live breach. You'll follow the footprints. You'll run the queries. You'll decide where the trail leads. Before, you hear alerts. After, you hear confessions. Day 2, before lunch, one attendee spots a consent grant with greedy scopes and stops it at the door. They didn't guess. They followed the doctrine. Under the hood, everything we drill lines up with the SC 900 fundamentals. Microsoft security, compliance, and identity. But we don't teach it like an exam. We teach it like a case file. You leave with a pack. Zero trust, IR checklist, hunting starters, CA policy set, compliance map. The flow you memorize, validate identity, block risk, contain device, investigate tenant, preserve evidence. You don't need brilliance. You need discipline. We teach that discipline. Attackers aren't brilliant. They're patient. The room won't be silent anymore if you know what to listen for. The truth lives in the timeline. Enroll, become the analyst who can reconstruct, contain, and prevent. Don't let your tenant become another case file, not on your shift.